What's up everybody, it's Owen here from Devil's Watches, and today's video is about genuine fake watches, counterfeit watches, replica watches, whatever you want to call them. I got the idea for this video. A friend of mine got a new watch. He said, can you take a few links out of the bracelet? I said, of course. I collected it and this is what showed up. It's meant to be Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet. I decided when I had it I may as well do a video on it. So in today's video we're going to talk about who buys replica watches, what it means for the watch industry as a whole. I'm going to go through a few little things on this watch which will show you how you can spot what's fake and what's real. So before we do that, please do one thing for me: subscribe to the channel. If you want to add a little bonus like, go ahead. So now let's get into the video. Okay, so what is this watch trying to be? I'll put a picture of the real one up here. It's an AP Royal Oak. The main difference is price. For this one, $100 to $150, $25,000. Movement, your basic Japanese automatic movement, made hundreds of thousands made a year, probably in the majority of cheap lower end automatic Japanese watches. And in this one they have the caliber 3120 in-house movement made by AP. So much technology, development, money, time, research gone into making that movement, and this is buy it off the shelf movement. So how would you know the difference if you're not really a watch person, or if you don't know what you're talking about? So the majority of people that are into watches will pick it up and see in a second that, okay, no, don't believe it. But so the first thing I do, I'll put a picture up here of the dial. So I always look, if a watch has a date window, check the date window. It's one of the biggest giveaways. So in this one you can see that the 3 is a little higher than the 1. It's not aligned. If a watch costs 25,000, these things are going to be perfect. Sometimes the date window might not line up or it might not sit in the middle. These things don't get past the AP store or the factory. They go through so many checks that these things will never get out. So the next thing, if you look at the dial itself, if you've ever seen an AP in real life, you see how 3D the dial is, or the depth in the dial. It's one of the main things about the AP, and it's one of the most beautiful things about the AP. While this example, it does have that 3D effect, but not to the same extent as the original. And then also if you look at the logos, you can tell that it's just the quality isn't there, and the lume isn't as great as your original one. Then the main thing, if you're always trying to look at a watch, you always have to look at the movement. This is a little bit more complicated with the likes of Rolex, because Rolex don't do open back cases, so it's very hard to see the movement unless you can open it or get pictures sent to you from the seller. But for this example, I'll put a picture up here, and the first thing you notice when I look at this movement, it has a plastic holder. So no $25,000 watch is going to have a plastic holder for the movement. That's the first giveaway. Second is the screw in the center. If that's going to be your center point, the screw that holds down the rotor, if that's going to be your center point, you're not just going to put a basic screw like that in. You're going to have something more nice like what they have in the actual watch. They did make an attempt at putting a design on the rotor wheel to match the original, but the quality isn't there. And then with the movement itself in the fake watch, there's no markings on the movement, while on the actual AP, the majority of the main parts would be marked AP or have some kind of stamp or number on them. So they went to a little bit of effort trying to do the rotor wheel, but apart from that you can see there's no effort. And if a watch has a plastic holder, yeah, that's a big sign. But apart from that, the bracelet for the price of the watch, the bracelet is well constructed. Just in general, the Royal Oak is one of the nicest bracelets you'll ever see. I just love that. It's what makes the watch. But apart from that, they're the main comparisons of how you can tell the difference. So just always be careful when you're looking at watches. Look for the little details, because they're the things that make the difference. Everyone can make the big things look right, but it's the small things that you have to notice. And like with everything, they just have to make these watches at a cheap price, so they'll try and make it look as close to the original as they can without spending too much money. So it's the little things that get forgotten. So yeah, that's the difference between the two watches, and now we'll move on to the next stage. So who actually buys replica watches? I broke it into 4 groups of people who I think buy replica watches, and the first one is the most common, and what the majority of people are that own replica watches are it's a fake people. They'll just tell you straight out it's a fake. You see a watch on their wrist, you say that's a beautiful watch, it's that Royal Oak, and they'll just go, oh yeah, but it's fake. I bought it on this website, it cost me this much money, or I bought it on my holidays in Thailand. And they'll just tell you straight. They're not trying to con you, they're not trying to make themselves be something that they're not. They'll just tell you out straight. They're never going to pass the watch on. They're never going to sell the watch. They'll probably only wear it a handful of times, and then they'll put it in the sock drawer and it'll never see the light again. So this is what the majority of people are, and it doesn't have a big effect on the watch industry in general. So these are the harmless people that everyone is, that people just that don't want to spend that much money on the watch, don't want to spend 25,000 on a watch, but they want the feeling of wearing a watch, so they will get this watch and they'll enjoy it for as long as the watch lasts. Then the next one is the celebrities, as they say. You see a lot of things coming up on the internet where this person was caught wearing a fake watch, or this guy has a fake watch on, and these people have the money. It's not like they don't have the money to buy the real watches, and they obviously have the right people telling them about these watches. So a lot of the time it's just for security reasons. If they know they're going out in public, or they're going to an event where there's a lot of people and they don't feel safe wearing their whatever $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 watch, they might put on a replica that they had made. Or so if something does happen to them and they do get stolen, or if they're going on tour and they're staying in hotel rooms, or they're on a tour bus and there's no safe and they don't want to bring their watches, they might bring one of these watches, and if something happens to it, it happens to it, and it's just done. It's not really right, because if you can afford to pay for it, but they probably have the watches at home and they wear them to their private events or to family functions and stuff like that. And then the third is who I feel the most sorry for. These are the victims. These are people who genuinely don't know that they bought a fake watch just because they haven't done their research, or they don't know what they're looking for. And these are the people that buy a watch, think they got a good deal, 3 years pass, 4 years pass, 5 years pass, they go to sell it, and then they realise that it's fake. Someone calls me and says that's a fake watch, or they bring it to get serviced and the watchmaker says, you know, that's fake. And that would kill you if you knew you're after spending 15,000 on a watch and now it's worth nothing. It would tear your heart out. And so many years have passed. A lot of people don't know where to go, or can't go back, or emails have changed, or phone numbers have changed. But these are the people I feel most sorry for. Or what else also happens a lot is people use watches as to pay debts. So say I work in construction and I built the extension for you, and then you came back to me at the end, you said, look, I don't have the last 10,000, I'm sorry, we went over budget, but here's my dad's Rolex, it's worth 12,000, can I just give you that? And we just call it quits. And most of the time people say, you just need the money. So like, yeah, that's okay, I'll take that. And then before you know it, they put it somewhere and they might wear it, and then they go and get it checked and they realise that the 10,000 they are owed, they got $100 watch for it. So I do feel sorry for these people, and it gives the watch industry a bad name, because a lot of people hear these stories and then they're afraid to actually buy a watch again, because they heard the horror stories, and they're afraid that they're going to lose their money because it might be their first purchase and they don't know what they're buying. So just always buy the seller. That's the only thing I can say. Make sure they have a big online presence, they have loads of reviews, they have stores, maybe that's even bonus, so you can go back somewhere. And make sure you get warranties if you're spending a lot of money. And then finally, the last people, the worst, the wannabes. You know the guy, wears the Gucci belts, always in the club every Friday and Saturday, bottle of Dom Perignon, saved up all week to buy that one bottle, doesn't even drink it, sips at it, holds it in his hand, drinks out of the bottle. You all know the guy, going around with what's meant to be like a gold yacht master, and he's just throwing his shapes. And kids, if you're out there, don't turn into this guy. I know they do say fake it till you make it, but there's a level of faking it till you make it, and then there's what these wannabes to be. So these are the people that give watches a bad name, and especially replica watches give them a terrible name. It just really gets me when someone tries to pull something off that isn't. And if you do call these people out and you say, let me see your watch, and you look, that doesn't look right, or should that not be there? These are the people that would cause the biggest scene and say, what you mean? No, this is real, I bought it from this guy. And they'll have the backstory. And if you really catch them out, they'll do the whole, oh my God, I'm going to go there tomorrow, I'm going to sue them, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I can't believe they ripped me off and I spent so much money, when you know they just bought it in Thailand or off wish.com. So they're the worst people. Don't be a wannabe. So now let's get on to the next bit. So what does replica watches actually mean for the watch industry? Are these big companies sitting on top of the Swiss Alps going, oh my God, there's another watch, another fake watch, what are we going to do? The world's ending. No, they don't care. They know their audience. They know there's two types of audience. There's the people that will buy this watch and the people that will buy their watch. And they're so far apart that there's no competition. If you're going to buy a watch like this, you're going to buy a watch like this. If you're going to buy the real version, you're going to know what you're buying. You're not going to just spend 25,000 on a watch that you don't even know anything about. You're going to do your research. You're going to know the difference. So it doesn't affect their balance sheet. They're not losing sales. They might even be getting sales from replica watches. If you think of, you go to your local bar or nightclub and there's 50 guys in there or girls wearing fake Rolexes, you're still seeing Rolex. When you look at their wrist, you're seeing Rolex, but you're thinking of Rolex. So it's not free advertising, but it's very close to that. They're seeing more watches of them kind of watches. So if you see a Rolex, you're just thinking Rolex. So you don't know if it's fake. If a guy standing at the bar beside you and you taking a mouthful of his drink and you see his watch, it's in your mind. So it's kind of like free advertising. I know the CEO of Hublot did say that to him it's nearly a compliment when someone is making copies of your watches, because it shows that your watches are selling and people want them and there is a demand for them. So in theory it's kind of free advertisement, but they won't look at it like that because the quality is such a difference. But like everything, if you are into a certain watch and you do like I'll put an example here of a Submariner that I've been talking about, which is probably the most counterfeited watch. There is homage watches, so I'll put up another version of a homage which you can probably get for a tenth of the price, even less. And if you like the design, you're still getting the design, you're supporting another company and you're helping out companies that are actually making watches and actually care about watches and designing watches, rather than a company that are just looking to make money. And then again, if you don't like the look and you're buying it just for the brand, because some people will only wear Submariner because it's a Rolex. You know, if there's another brand that looks the exact same and is a similar watch but doesn't say Rolex, they won't want it. So if you are just buying a watch for the brand, just get another 3 or 4 jobs. Work every hour in the week and then you'll be able to get them. But yeah, no, it's kind of things. There are cheaper Rolexes. If you're buying a watch for a Rolex, you can get a Rolex for in between the 3,000 to 4,000 euro. Might not be a Submariner, but you might get an old Air King or some Oyster Perpetual. So if you want the brand, just save a little more so you can get the brand. There's a lot of good value in some vintage Rolexes, not the sports models like the Daytonas and stuff like that, but you can get a decent Rolex for over 3,000. It will last you a lifetime, and that's what you want. There's no point paying 600 euro for a watch that you might get 2 or 3 years out of it. You'd rather spend the 3,000 for a watch and get 20 years out of it. It just makes sense. But yeah, so there are your 2 options. If you want the brand, just save up and wait to get the brand. You'll really appreciate when you do get that, because your hard work's paid off. And if you just like the style, there's lots of homage watches that are pretty much doing similar looking watches, and you can buy them and then you're supporting another watch company. So that's really all I had to say on fake watches or replica watches. Would I ever buy one? I don't think so. I'd rather spend my money on another watch of a smaller brand maybe. And there is a lot of decent watches out there for the, say, the 150 to 600, where your replica watches kind of fall in. You get a lot of nice watches, automatic watches too. So for me, it's not for me, but I can see why people do it, and I do see the reason behind it. If watches, like, I'm a watch geek, I'll admit it, so it means a lot to me. But if you're not that into watches and you feel cool wearing this on your holidays or when you go out on the night out, and it makes you feel like you are wearing an AP, go for it. I'm not going to stop anyone from wearing a watch. Enjoy it. So that's all I got to say. And please do one thing before we finish up. Can you please subscribe and hit that little thumb if you haven't done it at the start, and also go and check out www.devilwatches.com. check out our Instagram, because we have a big surprise coming tomorrow. One of our new watches will be up, and I'm really excited to show all you. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.